today we're gonna do a Bolognese sauce. Spaghetti, yum, that's delicious. I'm doing a really big batch today just because I like to get into it and have some fair ones for later. So first I'll show you what's gonna go in the recipe and we'll get it started. So we have our meat here. So we have half beef and half pork. So there's about 2 kilos in here. And so we have 5 onions. I'll put all of that, and I'll put all this bunch of celery in the recipe. 2 green peppers or capsicum here, and there's a small green one for a bit of spice. I will taste it first when I cut it to see how spicy it is, how hot it is, and I'll decide how much I put in it in the sauce. What else we have? We have our tomato paste, tomato sauce, and crushed tomato, and a whole bunch of spices here that I will show you which one I'm using. Salt, pepper, of course, and we're gonna put some wine. So let's get started with the recipe first. So I've heated this pan a little bit already. We put our beautiful olive oil in here. Always olive oil, of course. And so I'm gonna start browning this meat here first. And what I'll do half of it at a time. It just goes faster. And I'm gonna do that in the pan here. And afterwards, this is all gonna go in that huge, big pot here. I'm not gonna make that much, but it's gonna be a big batch. So we start with the meat, and so what we need to do is to brown the meat quite well first, because there's lots of moisture in your meat, and you don't want that moisture in the sauce. You want to evaporate all the moisture from the meat. So we're gonna sort of cook it quite a lot. It might take 10-15 minutes until you see that there's no more moisture and it starts to stick to the bottom of the pan. That's when you know it's ready. And I'll do it in 2 parts just because it's pasta, and then I'll send it into the big pot. So we're gonna start by putting half of this meat in my pan here. Doesn't matter how much, a little bit less or more, but just about half of it here. And with the olive oil, of course. So it's all starting already. Now what's important, salt, pepper, is whatever you cook, whatever it is, salt and pepper go at every steps, not just at the end of the recipe. It goes all the time. A little bit of salt, so important for the taste. If there's not enough salt, the taste is not there, it's not the same. So salt, pepper here with our beef, and that's all. We're gonna let that cook and mix it, of course, as it goes. And while this is happening, I better get into the chopping. Look, all I have to chop. So I'm gonna start doing that, and we'll get back to you very soon. So here this meat is browning, but you see how much liquid I've got. This is only just from the meat. So we want to wait until all this liquid has evaporated before we move on and continue. But at this point, what I like to do is to add one little extra ingredient, a little bit of nutmeg, and also a little bit of cinnamon, and because it's gonna really mix and cook with the meat here, and the taste is gonna go through. So I will also add some nutmeg and some cinnamon on the next batch of meat as well, and all the taste will be through the meat. So here we are, we're just waiting for all this liquid to be evaporated before we do the next batch. Now our second batch of meat is ready. So we send everything in the big pot, and we're gonna start cooking vegetable, and we'll do the same thing. We'll put them in the pan first and then in the big pot after. So here it all goes in here. Oh, there's some good oil at the bottom. Just adding a little bit of olive oil, and we're gonna put some onion. Now look at this batch. I've got the whole celery, and I've got actually 4 onions. Just a little tip, since I've just finished to chop those onions, every time it starts to be a little bit sore, then you stop and go and wash your hands and wash your knife, and that's gonna really stop the crying, and then continue on with the next one. Every time it just starts to be a little bit strong, wash your hands, wash your blade, keep going. So here we go. We have onion here and we have celery. Doesn't matter which one goes in first. We put half of this quantity in here, and then salt, pepper, of course. Every step of the way we put salt, pepper. So a little bit of salt here, and I will get the pepper here. Some pepper, salt, pepper, and add it to the big pot. Now we have our onion and celery here in the pan. It's happening, and I'm gonna chop those peppers. But let me tell you about this one here. This is the spaghetti squash. Now, because we love our food, and pasta has to be my favorite thing. I love pasta, but of course we try to watch the weight. Pasta is not exactly the right thing to eat when you're trying to lose weight, but this is the replacement. It's called the spaghetti squash, and so it's in the family of the pumpkin, and I will show you how to prepare that. And this is gonna be like replacing your pasta. So I'm gonna chop that in 2, and I'll show you afterwards. There are seeds in the middle like a pumpkin, and so we'll take that out, and then we'll bake that in the oven. And when it's cooked, it makes nice spaghetti. I will show you, and it's really delicious. So that's a great way to eat your pasta. Now on to the rest of the chopping, and just a little tip here, I'm gonna put the garlic. Now I'm gonna roast all of the vegetable, including the peppers here, but just a little tip, when you want to take the peel off of the garlic, just a little bash like this with your knife, and the skin comes out easy, and you can just get on, and so you just bash them up a little bit like that, and it's much easier to take the skin off. All happening now with our bolognese sauce. So now this is our second batch of vegetable. So it's gonna go all in the pot here with the meat that's already there. And so that's all our veggies here. Excellent. That here. Now I've got my garlic here, and also the little hot green pepper in there, and that's gonna go all in. We can move that onto this. It's a big pot. It's just only up to here, but it's good. It's not gonna splash all over the place, and all going. So we're gonna put our herbs first, and 1, 2, 3, 4 bay leaves here. Bay leaves in. We have oregano, and I'm putting a tablespoon probably of each of those. So tablespoon of oregano, a tablespoon of parsley, and a tablespoon of basil, and I have some fresh basil to add on after, when it's all finished. When you use the fresh herbs, you don't want them to cook the whole time. The flavor will be more present if we just add them completely at the end. So that was that for the herbs. Now we're gonna add the wine. How much wine? 1 cup. 1 cup of wine. We have our tomato now. Tomato crushed, two cans, and I have 2 other ones of tomato sauce, and as well 1 tomato paste. So this is all going in right now. One, two, three, 4. So all of the tomato in. Oh, it smells really lovely already. And the other thing that's very important to add is some sugar, because anything that we do with tomato, it's a little bit acidic, and so we need to add a little bit of sugar. It's just how it is. We add sugar to tomato all the time. But me, I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add some stevia instead. This is my favorite choice alternative. That's the natural. Stevia is the natural sweetener. None of the artificial things. Don't use the poison. So we use stevia. Stevia is actually a plant. So it's very, very, very sweet. And this is what I use in my coffee, salad dressing, anything, anywhere that I need sugar, because it looks similar to sugar, I use stevia. So here I will put two big teaspoons of stevia, and I think we've got everything. Everything is in there. We're gonna start stirring, and it's gonna start simmer. So that's gonna go on for at least probably 1 hour. Doesn't matter, a little bit more, a little bit less, but we want to just, all the nice flavor to simmer together. This is what we use for instead of pasta, and it's gonna go. That's the squash that I just cut into, and put it like this on a pan, and we're gonna put a little bit of olive oil, and just spread it over like this. And this needs to cook for 40 minutes in the oven at 375, meaning about 200 Celsius. Always some salt, so we put lots of salt here. And that's all. It's gonna go in the oven like this. This will be our spaghetti. So in the oven. Et voila, our Bolognese sauce is ready, and we're just adding the fresh basil. And we stopped the boiling. We just turned it off, and now we're just gonna mix it with the fresh basil, and it is done. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. Hey, now. Here is our spaghetti. It's called the spaghetti squash, remember? It's a squash, and we cut it in 2, put it in the oven for, it stays for 45 minutes in the oven with some olive oil, salt. Now, look at this. There is your spaghetti. There's a lot in here that you can get off. See how much it is? Wow. If you haven't tried that, it is lovely. You have to be a bit patient. Use a fork, and then you scrape it off, and it's all becoming spaghetti. And it's healthy. It's a squash. No carb or low carb. There's just always a little bit of carb in vegetable, but it's very low carb. Look at this. This is our pasta. Now we're gonna get some sauce here. Ooh. Lots of sauce. And as all spaghetti, we need our Parmesan cheese. There So this is your beautiful spaghetti, guilt-free, all vegetable, Bolognese sauce, and the spaghetti squash. Let's have a try. Mixing it a little bit here. I think it's quite hot. I'll go slowly because this is all was boiling a minute ago. And it's got some nice cheese on it. Oh, wow, that Bolognese is good. Wow, love it. It's delicious. So here, now we have a big pot and we're gonna put some maybe in the freezer or keep some in the fridge. We're expecting some visitors on the weekend, so we might do something with the Bolognese. Can make a lasagna with it or real pasta for the visitors if they want to, and the spaghetti squash as well. So voila, the spaghetti bolognese. Bon appetit!